Are you unable to flow in conversation and you overthink what you're going to say and you want to say everything right, so you start analyzing your every move? Well, in this video, I want to talk about this offset of social anxiety, because until you can flow in conversation, you won't be able to connect with people. So this is extremely crucial. It's an essential life skill. So let's talk about this today. So welcome to the channel. My name is Ruben, and I used to suffer from social anxiety. I was able to fully overcome it, and now I help other men fully overcome it as well and never look back. So flowing in conversation is a crucial life skill. Think about it. Before you go into a work meeting, everybody's there, everyone's talking, conversing. You need this ability to flow and connect with the people in the meeting room. Also, one-on-one conversations, dating, strangers, whatever the case is, the ability to flow is going to improve your quality of life. And if you don't have this ability, it's really going to affect the quality of your life. So this is really important. And I want to give you a few tips today of how to flow better in conversation. But before I do, I want to give you some context as to where these tips fall into place, because it's all about using the right tools at the right time. Now, an extremely important way to reframe your goal or your approach to this is to work towards authenticity and honesty. Always work to be authentic and honest about what's occurring within you in the current moment in your conversations. All right, so this is a big mistake that a lot of men make, is when they try to gain the skill of conversational flow, they'll go and try to learn random social skills, random lines to say, or they'll try to ask questions like these kind of surface level tips. And the problem with these surface level tips is they ignore what's happening for you internally, your internal thoughts, your internal feelings, your internal experience of the current moment, the current conversation that you're in. And if you continue to ignore your internal experience, it's going to be almost impossible to overcome this inability to flow. So how do you work towards authenticity and honesty? And the key is to be really intentional with what your needs are. Your needs. At the heart of it, the reason you're in these conversations is because you want to connect. You want to connect with that person. That is what you need. You need to connect. And so one thing that's going to really affect your ability to connect is your fight or flight response, because it's preparing you to really run from a tiger or a bear. That's essentially what your physiology is going to match. That's what your body's preparing you to do. And so it's going to increase your heart rate. It's going to change your breathing. It's going to dilate your pupils. It's going to increase your blood flow to certain areas of your body. This is what is happening physiologically. And so if your body's gone into this survival mode and this kind of survival mechanism is running inside of you, it's going to be really hard for you to connect with another person until you can get that survival response back down. And so that's the first key, is be aware of when you shift over into this fight or flight response. Don't try to fight this response, this physiology, by learning lines or surface level techniques. Get to the root of it and really understand the mechanism. And so I wrote an ebook that goes into my experience with social anxiety, and it's going to be really informative for you to download, because it's going to show you what's underneath that mechanism, that survival mechanism, and it's going to show you exactly why it's firing off and why it keeps hijacking your brain and hijacking your thoughts and hijacking essentially your ability to connect with people. Because you'll notice that when you have social anxiety, it's like you're driving like a broken down car. Your body, it has a mind of its own, and it keeps responding to other people, or the fear of being judged or evaluated negatively by other people. It keeps hijacking your mind and your body. And so what the book will do is it'll lay it out exactly why that's happening for you. It's going to give you a roadmap, almost like a GPS, of why this is happening to you. And don't do what I did. Don't spend years and years and years trying to research this and research that and trying to figure out what's wrong with me and trying to learn social skills and lines and how to be more confident. Save yourself years on your life, a lot of heartache and a lot of suffering, and download that and read that for free. It's going to be really informative for you. So let's go back to conversational flow, which is being really authentic and honest about what your needs are. What is your need? Your need is to connect in that conversation with the other person. So when you have social anxiety, it's important to recognize within yourself that you do have this essential human need, which is to connect. You have this need. So set that intention when you're going into conversation. You're not going into conversation to seek the other person's approval. You're not going in there to come across and be perceived as a certain way. You're going in there to connect. Because when you're anxious in conversations, you will have the tendency to be overly compliant and over responsible. So you'll feel like you have to do everything right. Just being aware of the fact that you don't have to comply to what everybody says and not everything is your fault takes a huge weight off of your shoulders. You are only responsible for 50% of that conversation, okay? So whether it goes good or bad, it's not all your fault. So really recognize that. And so this goes back to the whole authenticity and honesty thing, because if the other person you're talking to says something and you didn't get it, you didn't follow, say you didn't get that. It's not all your fault that you didn't get it. It could be the other person's lack of ability to communicate clearly. Not everything's your fault. So be really transparent about what you're experiencing internally. I missed that. I didn't follow that. You lost me on that. Because if you go into your head and you start pretending like you did get it and you're following them when you're not really listening, see what that does to your connection, your need for connection? It's actually severing your connection because you're not being honest and transparent about how much you understand what the other person is communicating. So it's breaking connection. If they say something that you didn't think was funny, don't laugh. Don't laugh, because at some point, both of you have equal worth, you're equally as valuable, and you need to understand each other so you can finally get on that same page and connect. They have to learn what you're about, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, in order to get a feel for who you are as a person, and then finally get comfortable with who you are. And the same goes for your end. You need to be sensing into the other person, who they are, what they're about. And when you're able to do so, when you're both able to do so, that's when you hit the flow state. You will be able to flow and talk freely, and you will intuitively know what to say next because you are connected to the other person, and you will intuitively know how to keep that connection going. And if this message resonates with you, what you can do is join my private Facebook group, because if you've been struggling with this social anxiety and you're constantly struggling with this inability to connect with people, it's really important that you get the support that you need. And so we have a great group of guys in the group it's a non-judgmental space, it's a safe space where you can share and really connect with a group of guys who really understand what you're going through. They're going through similar experiences, and they're actually holding space for each other so they can be fully free from social anxiety. It's not a space where people are just coming to cope with social anxiety. They're there with the sole intention to get better and support each other and give each other strength so they can break free from social anxiety for good and never look back. So I'll put a link below the video, and you're more than welcome to join. I'm in there as well, so you can get my support, ask me questions, and I can support you along the way. Now, if this conversational flow seems such a far-fetched thing for you, and it seems like it's unattainable because your fight or flight system is just so intense, you keep getting hijacked by that survival mechanism, then what I'll do is I'll link my free training that I made for you below the video, and check that out, because it's going to show you exactly how to stop that survival mechanism from going off, and it's going to show you what's really underneath it and the process we use to remove basically the batteries from that alarm from going off. So you still have that alarm, you still have that mechanism in your body, but now it's got no batteries in it, so it stops going off, and you can hit that conversational flow and connect with people a lot more freely without being paranoid about this fight or flight, this survival mechanism hijacking your mind and your body constantly. So be sure to check out that free training because it's going to be very powerful. It's going to be really informative to help you understand what is preventing you from hitting that flow state. All right, so thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. All right, peace.